Yeah. Okay, so for those online, just want to welcome you to the next event of Be Global. We're glad to have in our midst Akshay from The Apprentice and Chantel from Birmingham, Hair and Beauty. I believe it's an entrepreneur. But less about what I'm going to be doing, but it's going to be more about what they're going to be doing this evening. But what I want to do is just introduce myself. I'm the founder of Be Global. My name is Leslie Ayula. I'm a councillor for Nottingham City Council for the Mapley Ward, but I'm the founder of this organisation, which is called Be Global. And what I wanted to do is just take a few minutes of my time. Normally I say it'll take 5 to 10 minutes. So if I start going on a little bit longer, to somebody just wave your hand and just tell me just to cut it short so that we can have more time for the two stars at the back. So again, for the people who are in the audience today, there's no fire alarm scheduled. The way you came in, if there's any emergencies, is that way down there, down the stairs, and also to the back and to the left, that also leads downstairs as well. So hopefully that'll be fine. It's going to be an interactive event, so it's all based upon you who are here. Those who are online can also email your questions in, and obviously we'll get one of the administrators to feed those questions back to us. But as I'm just going to go and explain, for those who don't know, some people may know, I just want to take you through a presentation about Be Global. So Be Global is an organisation which was set up a number of years ago, but I want to just go through the reasons why we established Be Global. And it's a black-led business association, unashamedly, because we need to address some of the issues of the economy within the black community. But also we're an organisation that works with the wider, as they call it, I know the term changes a lot, ethnic minority business community. And it first starts by saying that our community itself generates something that's called gross value added, around about £25 billion to the UK economy on an annual basis. We just had an event with the British Business Bank and NatWest just a few weeks ago, and they've also said that that figure now is actually anywhere between 25 and 100 billion pounds, what we contribute to our national economy. So that's the benefit. Also, the reason why we wanted to set up Be Global as well is also address some of the unemployment levels within our communities and help our businesses grow. One of the challenges which we've heard through the research which we carried out, and a desktop research which was coming through historically, saying that a lot of the ethnic minority businesses have problems with accessing finance. And we'll come on to speak about some of the access to finance issues and some initiatives which we've had in rolling one of our programs out just a few months ago. So I'll come on to that later. Again, underrepresented, our businesses are in the public and the private sector supply chains. And obviously this can limit growth. So if your business isn't connected to some of the big chains supplying what they need, then it's obviously going to limit your growth. So one of the organisations in the UK focuses on getting businesses into the supply chains of these big corporate brands, and that's obviously helping those businesses grow. Again, when you're working with a lot of private sector organisations and public sector, they have these things called tendering requirements. And basically, it's the legal process you have to go through to ensure that your business complies with what they want and that you can tick all of their boxes and to make sure that they're satisfying their funders, like either central government or making sure that they comply with all their legal requirements, depending on their sector, what we're in. So if you don't have that capacity to be able to meet some of those requirements, you're going to be locked out of those supply chains and those tendering opportunities. So also, low use of mainstream business support. Now, business support services, there's many of them across the country. Here in the city of Nottingham, we've got a number of business support services, and some of those services have struggled to engage our communities. So we spotted that, we saw that there was a challenge, and we said, look, we're here to try and help resolve that. And because of that, we said that we need to be able to establish this organisation. This is an interesting one. Opportunity present themselves after Brexit. Now, you know that the Brexit deal itself, and the country went through a lot of hoo-ha, and whether people accept the decision or not, it's here. Now that, in a sense, presented a lot of challenges, but also for some of our businesses, it also presents a lot of opportunities. And I'll just take you back to a case when Theresa May was going to some of these African countries, and she was doing her, trying to impress them and entice them with her dance moves. It was slightly ridiculous, but she was doing that. She was willing to make herself look a fool, because she was bidding for the UK to say, look, we're going to have some problems and some challenges because our access to business opportunities across the EU are going to be drastically reduced, and we need some new markets to engage with. And what we're saying as Be Global, yes, you might have some new markets, but we're going to be the conduit for you to be able to access those, because we come from those communities and countries. Again, it's an opportunity for us to network, connect with each other and grow. No matter what people say about what our business communities can and can't do, we're here about to say, look, we're demonstrating that we can collectively come together, and we're showing this by what we're doing and how we're communicating and we're growing. So networking is one of the most powerful things what we can do to help connect our businesses. So just just go into a bit of the history of Be Global. So it came out of an organisation called Community Partnership Forum. This was an organisation started up by Councillor Melita Bryan. She was back then, I think she was either the Lord Mayor or Sheriff of Nottingham, and she said that, look, we need to be able to come together to address some of the issues which came out of the, I think it was the 2011 riots with the sad death of Mark Duggan. So we had issues here in Nottingham. There was riots, and obviously police stations got firebombed, and there was a lot of destruction in the city. But what she was saying is that we need to have an organisation, and she then helped set that organisation up, and we were a part of that. So I was a part of that organisation when I was working for an organisation called Inspiring Greatness. And one of the things that we did was set up a conference called BEAD. It was supposed to be called the Black Youth Entrepreneurship and Employment Day, and brought together a number of people across the city, and it was focused on saying, well, do you feel that there's a need to have a black-led business association in the city? And overwhelmingly, they said yes. And right at the start of that, we worked with them. It was mainly a community-based group, but when we took it to the next level and worked with some private sector individuals. One of them was Audra Winter, who runs a accountancy practice on Mansfield Road, and also another local entrepreneur, a guy called Mike Corey Bent. Worked with them for about 18 or so months, and then I took that into the local council. And at that local council, we have something called what's called like a manifesto. And all a manifesto is to say that when we get to campaigning, and we're going to have some elections again for the 2023 May elections, we'll release something called a manifesto. And that manifesto says what we're going to do as a political party for you in the city for the next 4 years. And as a part of that manifesto commitment, the Labour Party in Nottingham, which I'm obviously a member of, said that we would work with 500 or so Black, Asian, minority ethnic businesses between 2019 and 2023. And that's the process what we started on. But one of the first events that we did, it's called Onya Vife, somebody who's a royalty within Nigeria, and we brought him across with the Yoruba Community Association in Nottingham to host him here. Normally, when he comes, he stays goes to sees royalty down in London, etc. But he graces with his presence here, and we hosted him within Nottingham City Council with the Yoruba Community Association, and it was a great event. We said to them, these are some images from there. We said that it's going to be a small event, 30 or so people, but little did they know and understand about the flamboyancy and the prestige of Nigerian culture, and especially Yoruba culture. And with a room of about this size, obviously it was a bit of a culture shock for our friends at the council, but it was just a demonstration of what we could achieve when we obviously put our minds to it. And out of that came some interesting roundtable discussions with the Nigerian British Shipping Association and Nigerian Business Chamber of Commerce as well. And we've also, on the back of that, had numerous events talking about how we can develop trade links, develop connections between ourselves here in the city of Nottingham and also abroad. These are some of the people who attended over the years. And then we went on to having a number, this is obviously pre-pandemic, having a number of events which were face-to-face events. We developed a 2018 a strategic advisory board, which moved on to having a board of directors. Now we've got an advisory board, and these are the people who help steer the organisation and contribute their time to directing us where we need to go. Again, some of the events what we've actually did, and then we started. This is again, one of our main partners, which is Nottingham City Council, through their service, which is called the Growth Hub. And so we were able to refer a lot of our businesses into the Growth Hub. Now, the Growth Hub doesn't work with all businesses, but it makes work with some of them. And the ones they don't do, we support as well. But we got a lot of them supported in that process. So there were a number of events what we delivered, but then we've moved on to growing our network. And then at the start of 2021, we moved into developing and, in a sense, carrying on some other programs which the government had in store for us. One of them was the CRF program. And this is a program itself. This was on the back of central government knowing that there's going to be a lot less public funding around, especially for businesses, employees, local communities. And so therefore they had to then roll some programs out, pilot programs, so that people could engage with them. And one of those programs was it's called the CRF Community Fund, and we were partners still are, with the Chamber of Commerce. And the two managing authorities were Nottingham County Council and City Council. And then it was just a process of us offering, our business support and saying to people, whether you're pre-start, this support we can actually give you, whether you're scaling up your business and wanting to grow it, we can help you. There may be funding support. Now, for the Nottingham part of the programme, that's actually concluded. But if you know businesses, and if you are businesses within the Mansfield District Council area, Bassetlaw District Council area, and the Newark and Sherwood District Council area, is still funding available that we can actually give grants to of up to £2,000, but also contributions of up to 80%, where they can actually get £8,000 worth of support into their business. So the opportunities what come along. And a part of that number of partners, we've got, in a sense, we had about 10 or so business advisors, and then to run the events, we've had obviously Tamika from U-Curate organising these events, Alan Okello, who's organising all the social media and the streaming, and also Cammy Morgan, who's organising the PR for these events, etc. So I'll try and hurry up because I know what you're interested in, and I want to hear the juicy parts of the 2 stars available. But just to let people, there is a leadership program available for not just Nottingham businesses, but any businesses across what they call the D2N2 area. And that is the Derbyshire, Derby, Nottingham and Nottinghamshire area. And it's a free leadership program for anybody in your own organisations who want to scale, who want to develop those leadership skills to be able to grow. In Trent University, to basically develop skills and understanding of people who need to be able to develop their managerial skills and leadership skills within the organisation, because we realise that it's basically down to the leadership of our organisations which indicate the success and how far we grow. So that's it for me. We're going to come and have some question and answers. I'm not great at technology, but we're going to see if we can get Malachi to come and bring up the next slides, etc., for bringing the next speaker. So without further ado, I believe we're going to have Chantel come and give us a presentation to speak about her journey, the ups and the downs of her businesses, some of the opportunities that she's engaged with. So what I would say, people, if you've got pens and paper, take notes, but also get the opportunity to, after she's spoken, we're going to have a number of question and answers for her. So if we give Chantel a round of applause as she comes.
Okay, guys. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the organisers and Tamika for reaching out to me to ask me to speak. It's actually been a while since I've actually been around people. I used to actually do quite a lot of events like the pandemic. And you kind of got used to seeing people online. So it's really nice to be here today. I'm really, really, really happy. So as you guys have heard, my name is Chantel Sachanna, and I'm a hair care entrepreneur. And I actually started that business in November 2020. It was totally random. I had no plans on doing that. But I have actually been an entrepreneur since 2017. That was the year I quit my full-time job, and I was like, I'm going to be a businesswoman, and feel exciting at first. And then the reality kicked in, and it was really, really, really hard. So I'm going to speak to you guys today about the highs and lows that I've experienced, but also hopefully give you guys lots of tips and advice on what you guys can do to take your business to the next level. But before I do that, I'm really interested to know who's in the room. So if you are not a business owner yet, but you have an idea, can you raise your hand so I know who I need to speak to? Okay, so you guys have just got an idea and you're ready to start. If you have a business and you are making some money, can you put your hand up? Okay, business people. If you have a business and you're already doing well, but you are just here today to just have a good time, put your hand up. Okay, you know, that's fine. It's always interesting for me to know so I can really kind of tailor my talk a bit. But it seems like we really have a great mix. And if you never put your hand up for any of those things, can you put your hand up? And I want to know, so can you tell me why you're here today? Oh, okay. If you have a business, but you are just new and you're not really making any profit at the moment, put your hand up. Okay, fantastic. Okay then, guys. So as you can tell by my accent, I am a Brummie. I know we get a lot of bad press about our accent. Is it really that bad? No. Do you know what? I've heard some bad people say some wicked things about the Birmingham accent. And I'm like, do I really sound that bad? Thank you for the love and support, guys. You guys are great. Okay then, guys. So as I said, I want to kind of talk about where I am now. And then what I'll do, I'll backtrack so I can really show you guys the journey. I want to be as truthful as I can with you guys today because I think it would be really helpful if I'm nice and honest. So today, where I am in my career. So I'm in a really good place at the moment. I've spent 3 months traveling the world. We had an amazing year last year. We scaled to beyond 6 figures in like the first year of my business. And so we grew really, really, really quickly. Like, I'm talking, I have a hair care business, and like we were having orders to the ceiling, okay? And then I was a little bit stressed out, I'm not gonna lie. We grew a little bit too quick. And then, so this year I thought, you know what, I need to just pull everything back in, because my focus for the end of this year is to build my team. I'm looking for a new space. But before I kind of get really, really serious again, I thought I'm gonna travel. So I passed everything over to my amazing team, who are so supportive. And I have been traveling. I'm flying out again in the morning. I'm just living a life of freedom, because I've worked so hard over the last years that I thought this is the year where I'm gonna eat some fruits, and then I'm gonna get back on it again at the end of the year. So where I am right now, it's a really, really grateful space. I have so much freedom, and I'm really in a fantastic place. In fact, where I am right now has superseded the goals that I set when I first started my entrepreneurial journey in 2017. So I do want to start off by saying that when you work really hard, you can create an amazing life. But what I do want to speak about is that it is really hard, okay? So I quit my job in 2017, and that was because I felt like I was wasting away. I had a 9-to-5 job. They were paying me not a lot of money. And I remember I would wake up every morning and I just would not want to get out of bed. You know that feeling where you're like, what am I doing with my life? I would get in my car. I was always running late for work. I didn't want to be there. So I would drive like a mad woman. You know, you drive because you're running late. Oh my God, I got to get to work. And that was my situation for a while. And then, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I've just thought about this, but I was listening to a Beyonce song. I had an album in my car, and it was a Beyonce song I would listen to. It's a song when she says, I might just be the Black Bill Gates of Jamaican. You know that song? And I would listen to that song, and I'm driving to work. I'm like, yes, Beyonce, speak to me. And that energy was like, I was like, and then one day, I just handed him a notice. And you know what was so crazy? I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really have a plan. And the business idea that I hadn't made a penny from it. I was just a mad woman. I had a mortgage, responsibilities, but I quit my job. Now, I wouldn't recommend it because I'm mad, like you don't have to watch me, but I did that. And I did that because I knew I had to. For me, it was, I knew I had to quit that job because I was wasting away. I knew I had skills that I knew if I stay in this job, I'm gonna make an excuse and another excuse and another excuse. And I was willing to just jump and kind of put myself in a position where I had no choice but to fly. There's actually like a saying where it's like, you know, if you wanna win, you gotta go to the island and burn all the bridges, and burn all the boats, so you're stuck there. So you literally have no choice but to make it work. And that is what I did. And so the business idea that I had was I was doing life coaching at the time. So I had done my training. I was running events, and my plan was to become a life coach, and didn't get any clients. I wasn't making any money. I rented out my house, went to live with a car because I couldn't afford to run it, but I didn't quit. So what I did was, rather than quitting, I took away my outgoings, because I knew that if I still had to pay the mortgage, pay for the car, I would have went back to a job. So rather than quitting in the vision, I just gave up the outgoing so that I could actually create more space to keep going, embrace them. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. And the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the reward, right? So for me, it was I gave up my house, gave up my car, everything, but I knew why. I knew that this short-term sacrifice was because of the vision that I had. So you know, as an entrepreneur, you got to think, what can I give up? Some people, their ego won't allow them to move back in with their parents. But the vision that I had couldn't allow an ego. There was no space for it. So I moved back in. Oh my goodness, guys, having to go back to rules and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, we had a cleaning rota. So me having to do my cleaning, and sometimes I'm out and about and I'm getting home late, and my mom's like, the washing wasn't done. And like having to go back to all of that was absolutely crazy. But you know, you do what you have to do, because the vision 9-to-5 job, and to be honest, I never had to. So, specifically for those who just have an idea right now, I want you to understand that the sacrifices, you just have to make them. And some people maybe try to avoid them, to be a bit comfortable, but I actually want you to be excited about making sacrifices. I was proud of myself when I got rid of my car, because I think the MOT was up, the tax was up, the insurance was up. I didn't have the money to insure my car. So I was actually so proud of myself that I was getting rid of my car. And I want you to be proud of yourself, as opposed to seeing the sacrifices as, oh God, I don't want to do it. I want you to turn it around, and I want you to be proud of yourself. I want you to big yourself up and say, yes, I'm excited about making this sacrifice, because it means that you're serious. You're serious about where you are heading. So definitely get excited about that. Now, when I was at the moment where I was quitting my job, I knew I didn't have any entrepreneurial experience. Obviously, I didn't. But I didn't see that as an issue, because I always felt that, you know, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And I knew, let me say that again, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And I knew that was just facts. And I knew that the quicker I started my journey, the quicker I could be great. You know what I mean? So some of you guys, you might be holding onto something right now, safety blanket, comfort zone, because you're like, oh, I'm not ready. You don't have to have anything more than what you have right now to get started. And a lot of people procrastinate because they think, I don't have the right experiences, I don't have the right qualifications. And so you might be putting all these excuses, barriers. And the truth is, everything you've got right now is absolutely great to get started. And you have to understand that. And one thing that I find about people is that it's so interesting where some people don't want to be seen starting at the bottom because of their ego. They don't want people to see them in their small times. But the only way to be great is to embrace the small times, right? So I want you guys to really just embrace it and understand that great. The longer you take, you're just never going to be great, are you? Do you know what I mean? So you really just have to get started. So I knew that, I was aware of that, and I knew that I had everything in me to be great. Make sense? Definitely, definitely, definitely. Now, another thing that I want to speak about, because this is what was so powerful for me when I had the audacity and the nerve to start my business and quit my job when I had no evidence that I was going to make any money. I had the audacity, really. Well, I had this incredible sense of self-confidence. My self-confidence was, I had worked on it. I had a really bad speech impediment from when I was a baby until I was about 28 years old, okay? So I had a stammer, okay? I still have it a bit, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. So my stammer was so bad that I just used to dread making phone calls, because I would be on the phone and I can't get my words out, and the person on the phone would hang up. They thought it was a prank call, and that would happen a lot. Like my words, I just really struggled with my speech for a long time. Now, when I was about 28, 29 years old, I worked on it. I worked on my speech, and I kind of convinced myself that I would be able to speak. Now, I had speech therapy from when I was a baby. They'd put things in my ears, but I just wasn't making any improvement. So for many years, I just told myself that there was no cure. I was just gonna have this speech impediment for forever. So I just kind of accepted it, right? But one day I was like, I don't want to accept this anymore because it was limiting me. Like, I was really antisocial. I wouldn't want to go out because I didn't want to put myself in a place where people would speak to me and then I'd open my mouth and then reveal this speech impediment, because I just really felt that they would make horrible judgments about me, right? So I really worked on it, and kind of overcoming that built up my self-confidence so much. And so it kind of put me in a place where I believe, well, if I can overcome that, then I can do anything. And so the self-confidence that you're going to have to need on your entrepreneurial journey is going to be absolutely, like, you're going to need a lot of it. Okay, now one thing that really helped me was strengthening my faith with God. Now, you obviously don't have to believe in God, you can believe in the universe or a higher power, but what worked for me was working on my relationship with God. That's because I'd look outside and I'd see the trees that started off as a tiny seed. Like, how is that even possible? How is it even possible that these big trees were once a tiny seed? How is it possible that a woman can get pregnant and in 9 months she's got a whole human being? Like, how possible? So when you look at the laws, when you look at what God can do, then I harness that power, put God in me, and I'm like, how can I fail? Does that make sense? So, thank you, guys. So really tapping into the powers of God, or whatever you believe in. There is a universe, and most things don't make any sense. They're so powerful that I just believe if you can bring that in, then there's nothing you can't do. So really understanding that, and that isn't even from a place of ego, that is just facts. All right, so every single day I want you to tap into that. There is nothing I can do. If I walk with God, if God is for me, who can be against me? All right? That energy, and I worked really hard to, because my confidence was on the floor for many years. So I really focused on that, because to get to where you want to be in your entrepreneurial journey, you have to work on it. So how do you enhance that value? You work on you, so you become an amazing person. So really take the time I do, find you listening to something. Now, I'm not saying it was actively. Sometimes, when I'd get up for work, I'd have it playing. When I'm in the car, I'd have it playing. When I'm home in the kitchen, cooking my food, there's something playing. You've got to really create the environment so that you're hearing things all the time. Your senses are so powerful. Okay, remember that your senses are incredibly powerful. So I knew where I wanted to go. So I needed to make sure that I was exposing myself to words of power, belief. So I would be listening to I'd be playing it all the time. Have you guys heard of Les Brown? Yeah. Les Brown, I'll be listening. I met Les Brown, he's such an amazing man, but Les Brown was one of my favorite speakers that I'd listen to. Oprah Winfrey has some really good content as well. So just who speak life into you, who speak prosperity over you, and listen to them constantly, because you have got to interrupt your thinking. One thing with entrepreneurs is that we do sometimes struggle with self-belief, and sometimes struggle to believe that we can be successful. In fact, it's not just entrepreneurs, it's people in general. So if that's your thinking, which obviously is a lie because you guys are all amazing, if that's your thinking, you have to interrupt that thinking. And sometimes your thinking is not serving you. So you can't depend on your own thinking sometimes. So you have to seek out people who have better ideas than you. And it's okay. Sometimes your ideas are trash. Sometimes our thinking is absolutely sabotaging us. So I was aware of this. So the idea of interrupting your thinking. So really find some great speakers, YouTube, whatever it is that is an area of concern for you. It could be your self-confidence. It could even be learning something new, learning a new skill. Just saturate your environment with words of prosperity. It saved my life. Les Brown was my bestie, and he did not even know who I was. But I was literally listening to all of his talks, and I knew like all of his talks word for word. That man changed my life, and without even having to actively being there, without me even having to spend a penny. All these videos are free on YouTube, so there's no excuse, right? No excuse. Okay, guys, so self-confidence, definitely. And another thing that really, really, really helped me on my journey, and this is really, 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 really key. I cannot even stress this point enough. As entrepreneurs, we have 2 seasons, okay? We have the seed planting season, and we have the harvest season, okay? These 2 seasons are very, very, very crucial, and no entrepreneur can escape them. Now, the thing about the seed planting season, and which can be quite frustrating, is that you have no idea how long that seed planting season is going to take. But what happens when you are planting seeds? You have to get out into the fields, you have to plant seeds, plant loads of seeds, and you have to water the seeds every day, okay? Now, with a lot of people, they will plant a seed, and because the seed hasn't grown according to their timeline, they quit. And some people quit after giving something 6 months. I'm like, 6 months is not enough time. Like, people quit too soon. So seed planting is you have no idea how long that season's going to take. A true entrepreneur is patient in that season and faithful in that season. You get up, you water the seed. It might take a year, it might take 2. We keep watering the seed. And for me, it took me years. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, and my hair care business grew very quickly, but that was because I was so faithful in the early days when I was learning my skill, learning how to market a product, learning how to create content, learning how to give great customer service. Like, so many things that I learned in the early stages allowed me to grow my hair care business quite quickly. But the actual hair care business did not grow that I was doing prior to that. So your seed planting season can take a while, but I need you guys to just embrace it. Be faithful, right? Because let me tell you about that harvest time. Oh my goodness, harvest time is delicious. The fruits are juicy and sweet. Oh my, it is addictive here. I'm flying out in the morning. I booked it 2 days ago. This is like, because I am in harvest and I am enjoying my harvest right now because it's not going to last for long. I'm actually going back in seed planting season, like the end of this year. So no matter like wherever I reach, I am still going to be faithful and understand seed planting and harvest. But it took me years to have a harvest, okay? Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you guys how long it took to get a harvest. But I'm so grateful that I endured the seed planting season. And I kind of like to think of the seed planting season as, imagine like a mom or a dad, and you've just had a baby, and you're really excited, and your baby is now learning how to walk. And your little cute baby, and the baby's so cute, and they're learning how to walk, and they keep falling over, getting back up again, falling over. And like it happens 1,000 times. If you watch a child learn how to walk, it is so amazing how they fall over, get back up, try again, fall over. And I always think at any point when that baby is learning how to walk, would the mum say, babes, you've been trying to walk for a long time now. I think it's time you just quit. I think it's time you just accepted that walking isn't your thing. I think crawling is your thing. Like, would a mum ever say that to her baby? No. As a mother, you allow your baby to keep going until. And until means until it's done, until what they're trying to achieve has been fulfilled. And that's walking. Obviously, unless your child has, unfortunately, a condition, obviously, but we're not talking about that at the moment. We're just speaking about, just a child who is actually able to walk. You allow your baby to keep going until they are walking. As a business owner, you are the mother or the father, and your business is that baby, and you keep going and building your business until it's done. Whatever done is for you, you keep going until. Like, there's really no excuses. Like, whatever excuse is on the table right now, you just want to just take it off the table. Like, I'm telling you guys, there's no excuse. If you've decided you want to have a business, you keep going until. Like, for me, there was no excuses. My money had run out. I kept going. And I didn't tell people at the time because I was a little bit, I knew people would think I was crazy. Money wasn't coming in. I wasn't open about it because I knew people would think I'm crazy. Like, how are you still going and you're not even making any money? I didn't want to tell anybody that I wasn't making any money because I did not want outsiders to try and convince me to go back to a 9-to-5 job. So what I did was I got rid of all of my outgoings. I got rid of got rid of everything so that I could be frugal. Because from that place, I didn't need to get back to a job. Do you know what I mean? Because I knew if I wasn't frugal and giving up everything, then that could be an excuse. Make sense? So you just got to keep going until, and like I said, you don't know how long until is. But I challenge you to any timeline that you set. Obviously work to a timeline, but if you don't meet that timeline, you keep going anyway. Like, don't be precious. Sometimes I'll set a timeline. Wait, I don't hit that. Don't be precious. Make sense? Keep going, keep going. So yeah, keep going until, and obviously we've spoken about the concept of persistence. So one of the books that you guys all need to read, if you haven't already, and if you have read it, read it again, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That book came into my life at the right time. It kind of focuses on the power of persistence. That is like the real underlining theme in the book. It really helped me with my mindset, how to set goals, but ultimately to understand that nobody today who's doing really, really well has got there without just keep going, keep going, keep going. So I think as an entrepreneur, when you understand that it's been a struggle for everyone, you would just embrace it. And I know social media, people tell lies and make it out like everything is easy and smooth and swift. Just know people who do that are lying. It's just a lie. Everyone has had to work really, 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 really hard. And you will not be any exception to that. So get ready for the journey, buckle up, and So another thing that I just want to quickly speak about, guys. So how am I doing for time?
I would say a few more minutes and then questions.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of run through a few more points that I want to raise. Is stand guard at the door of your mind, okay? Kind of touched on it before, but you have to stand guard at the door of your mind. I challenged myself, and I still do it today. I do not allow myself to say anything negative about myself. Like, you must be crazy. I do not allow those thoughts. The world can be tough enough. The last place that you want to have a battlefield is within yourself. This should be a safe space. When you've gone out into the world and you haven't got the deal, you haven't hit your targets, you should be able to have a safe space within you. So I make sure that my space is so safe. I can have the worst day, but when I get home and it's just me, I give myself hugs, I comfort. I'm not joking. I comfort myself. I tell myself, I've created a really safe space in me. So stand guard at the door of your mind. Don't say anything horrible about yourself. There's no point. And never think of this. Speak about how to stand out, because I've got loads of points, but I want to kind of like wrap up a bit and not Babylon. So stand out, how to stand out in your business, okay? So one thing that worked exceptionally well for me, when we launched the hair care product, I really thought about what extra thing can I do so that when the product arrives, because it's all online, when the product arrives at their doorstep, what can I do to make them excited to tag me when they're unboxing the product? So I went really extra. I created a glossy, the actual box that it came in was absolutely gorgeous, pink, glossy, feminine. I went over and beyond what my customer expected, and it didn't cost me a lot to do that, really. And what I knew was that the domino effect, women were just excited. When the box arrived, they opened it and were like, oh my God, this is beautiful. So what happens is when you can cultivate that feeling for your customers, because they feel that you've done extra for them, now they want to do something for you. So we were getting tagged, literally like every day, loads and loads and loads of tags when it arrived. So it kind of, women were proud to have ordered this because it was luxurious. So think about what extra things can you do to create a buzz so that when the product has arrived or when the service has been delivered, you've gone over and beyond. You've given your customers more than what they expected. And I think this is just a really nice thing to do, because I love the idea of thinking that my customers are just really happy. I just love it. Like, when the first batch of orders went out, I was so excited because I knew they weren't expecting this. And I was like, okay, I can't wait to hear what they say when it arrives. And I want you to have that energy. I want you to think, what can I do to make my customers really happy? And that's because we're not building short-term success. We actually want to build a business that's going to be here forever, passed down to our children. And you really can only do that by going over and beyond for your customers. So don't cut any corners, and think about, and you might not even have a budget to do anything extra. Think about any extra service you can offer. It doesn't always have to be like a fee. It can be, what can I do for free? But just ask yourself that question. What can I do to go over and beyond for my customers? And I truly believe if you think like that as an entrepreneur, there's no way that you can fail. And that has really, really, really worked for me. It created a real buzz on social media. And then other women were seeing that everyone else has got it. And then now they want it. And we have not had to run any advertising since last year. All of our sales at the moment are organic. Our customer retention rate is ridiculously high. So they keep coming back and they recommend our product to everyone else. Our product is high quality, luxurious, and it actually works. So what can I say, guys? So definitely do all of that, and I think you'll really go on to do some exciting things. Yeah, is that all right?
No, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for that. Very well inspiring. Obviously, I like the part where you speak about your inner strength, which is obviously your faith, which is obviously really important, and acknowledging your creator and everything what you do. We're just going to go into some question and answers now. So over to you, the audience. We'll have a few minutes of questions and answers. So any question that you have, I see hands pointing up. Was it Mr. Brown at the back? Mr. Delroy Brown from the Acna Centre is a phenomenal individual from Nottingham, and he's always got questions to ask. So start off with Delroy, then the lady at the front.
Can I say I was really, can I say,
Mike.
just inspired.
Thank you. Thank you.
And in truth, your journey reflects a lot of things that I think a lot of us are scared of.
No, yeah, we need it.
Oh, beyond that.
Yeah.
Your journey reflects a lot of things that we as individuals are confront. Our fear, fear of failure, fear of starting, and really a fear of engaging. And I think that all the things that you stood up there and said actually addressed a lot of issues for us. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the issue basically is, though, my biggest problem is we seem to be doing it by ourselves, right? And we don't have, each one of us, as where was the support, because we're listening to you, I didn't hear the support from any other black business that was on your page. And I wonder if there were other black businesses that's on your page, and what sort of support did they give you, if they gave you any support at all?
So any support I've had?
From black business support or from any other business? Just give us a sense of, it seems as if it was a journey you've done.
Oh yeah, so a solo entrepreneur, so my team, obviously how they work with me, but in terms of, sorry, what specific? Oh no, it was, no, I haven't had any funding. I'm totally a self-funded entrepreneur. I didn't have any funding, but then I didn't look for any, I didn't apply for any, I didn't seek any support. I guess I was just, maybe I didn't identify what support I needed at the time. But in terms of customers from the black community, absolutely amazing, like incredible. Like most of my customers are black women, and it's profound. I did hear a lot of things, as you know, in our community. We do sometimes hear that black people don't support each other. Biggest myth. If you've got a great product, and I think that's the issue, sometimes we have a reputation of maybe not doing things as good as we maybe should, and therefore, why should people support us? Why should they put their hard-earned money in their pocket and buy from us? But when you actually create a great product that your customers love, they will go hard for you. My customers, we have not had to run any marketing. I haven't spent a penny in marketing since last year because they keep coming back. But yeah, so I hope I've answered that question. In terms of business support, I haven't had any, but that's not necessarily a fault to anyone else. I haven't asked for any, I haven't looked for any. I've just been out here on my solopreneur journey. Thank you.
So I'm just intrigued about your journey from service provider to a product. I'm a service provider, and I've been in the seed phase for quite a long time. It's long, and I've given up a lot. Okay. So I'm carrying on because I'm really passionate about what I do, and I really believe in that, and I want to make a change. And similar to what you just talked about, providing selling to black women, I actually found the opposite, that actually black women don't invest in a service. They'll invest in products, but not in service. And I have a very good service. What I deliver is very, very good, and I give a good service basically. So, just what would you recommend?
So before, I was doing life coaching, and most of my customers were black women as well. I was highly supported in that. However, my business didn't take off until I invested in a coach. And sometimes I see a coach as like a satellite navigation system. Like today, to get to here, I'm from Birmingham, I used the sat nav, I would have got lost. So a business coach is a sat nav. I didn't know what I was doing, and I probably should have addressed that. what helped me to grow my service-based business was actually I got a coach. I literally spent every single penny that I had. It was crazy at the time, but I did it. And I got a coach, I got help. They showed me how to market myself, how to actually sell. And I think sometimes we just don't know how to sell. What I found was we're too busy selling the features rather than the benefits. And once I learned how to sell, I got clients. And so, have you ever had any support, a coach? You have a coach? You're not making no money?
I'm making money, but for as long as I've been doing it.
Are you running sponsored ads or anything like that?
No.
Social media ads really helped me as well.
Yeah, but obviously you need
so
a marketing budget.
You need a marketing. Well, you can start small. I think I was doing like £2 a day. So you need eyeballs on you. I didn't have enough eyeballs on me, so I paid social media ads, and I was doing things so that I could get out there, and all these things helped me. And I remember, it really, really helped me just get myself out there.
What made you change from a service to a product?
The product. So what made me change was I was making hair care for myself for over 10 years. My hair was falling out when I was younger. It was really thin, it was damaged. I was losing a lot of hair. And then I researched what products to use to help me. And so I started to use it and my hair started to grow and get healthy. 10 years, I was just making it for me. And then one day I put a picture on social media before and after. I wasn't trying to promote my hair products or anything like that, but I thought it was quite interesting. And then people went, oh my God, I want to know what you've been using. I never planned to start a hair care business, but people told me that they want it, so I thought this is an opportunity, let me capitalize on it. It was in the pandemic, we had a lot more time anyway, so I spent a few months, had to get tested and everything like that, and then we brought it out, and then that has kept me really, really busy, and I haven't done any service stuff. So that's it really. But yeah, invest in marketing. Invest in eyeballs. You need people to know who you are.
I am quite, I did something for QVC recently,
What is your business?
What do I do? I'm a woman's, I help women to feel, look good with unshakable confidence. That's what I do. So that's the experience that they get with working with me. But I actually
what? You're probably calling yourself the wrong thing. People don't spend money on that. Necessarily, and that was an error that I made.
But I work with women with hormones, so perimenopause, menopause, it's all over the place.
Do you know what? You've got to give yourself a title. Like, you can be doing the same thing, but sometimes you've got to change your title and think about what are people going to actually buy. Call yourself that, but really you're selling that. Does that make sense? Because I called myself a women's empowerment coach. No one was buying that because people don't. I can't explain, but you got to figure out what, and you could be doing the same thing, but change the title and it will change the game. So spend some time thinking about what can I actually call myself based on what people are going to spend money on. Because if they're not buying from you, then maybe there's a disconnect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So definitely have a think about it. You can be doing the same thing, offering the same service, but with a different title. That could help. Think about it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Like one or two more before we. State your name. Where you're from.
I'm Ijoma, and I'm from Nottingham.
Hey.
And I wanted to ask, did you get any loans? And when you did get a loan and you went into debt, how did you manage that? And if you didn't get a loan,
I've never had a loan.
How did you
self-funded?
So how would you do that? Did you just start working again, or?
No. So what I did was, before I quit my job, I saved up a lot of money. I was saving. Like I said, I didn't want any excuses to go back to a job. So I made sure I had a blanket, and then I got rid of all of my outgoings so I could just hold on to the pot of cash that I did have. And then I spent the last bit of cash on a coach who then helped me to make money. So it was like, I saved up money that that saw me through for a while. I was frugal for like 2 years. I didn't spend any money. I didn't buy any clothes. I didn't buy any shoes. I didn't like buy any beauty stuff. I was just looking a mess. I wasn't looking a mess really, but you know, I was frugal for 2 years, literally. And then I spent my last bit of money on a coach. And that coach was the best investment I made. Showed me how to sell, how to market myself, changed my job, the title for me, because he told me no one's gonna buy that, and it was absolutely right. Once I changed my title, I started to get clients and I started to make money, and then that enabled me then to save up to start the hair care business. So I've never actually got any funding, and actually that's just because I've never looked for it. That's definitely something that I'm doing. I'm going to actually apply for I'm getting a big part of investment coming soon, and that's going to help me to scale up. But up until like that point, I literally have never had any investment at all.
Hi, I'm Karen. I am actually a trained life coach as well, and I'm doing exactly the same as you. I got some advice from a coach, and I'm moving back home to actually have the money.
Yes, Jill, yes!
The business.
Amazing.
And, but what I need sort of like the business grounding. I need a sort of like to do the finances, the business side of it, and I have changed my title. Because it's the same thing.
It wasn't
like
selling.
4-6 months, it hasn't been selling, but I have made some great networking things, which has actually made me think about diversifying a little bit as well. So that'll be another string to the bow. But I am having to totally change how I live and everything just to be able to get the money to do it and to settle debts and everything else and get that sorted. So what I want to know is, would you recommend a business coach as a separate entity?
You need a business coach.
Yeah.
You need, like, you don't know what you don't know, and that is your problem right there.
Yeah.
And you can be in, some people, you're in seed planting season for way too long because you haven't got the right help.
Okay.
So the way that you reduce your seed planting season is by getting help. Like, if someone has walked the path that I want to walk, they have got all the answers. Why should I figure it out? Why can't I pay them? And they'll tell me, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then you do it, and then it works, right? And so, like, you don't need to exhaust the seed planting season when you don't have to. Like, you obviously have to be in the season, but don't be there too long because you haven't asked for help. So you just need a business coach. I wish I could help you, but I'm actually quite busy at the moment, and I would have showed you exactly what to do. But there's people out there. Just search online, business coach. Search on Instagram for a business coach. There's loads out there. Yeah.
Hey, mine's just really quick. I just wanted to ask where you see yourself in 3 years' time. I just assumed that everybody did, sorry. I'm Tamika Martin, I'm from Nottingham, and I'm an entrepreneur too. And my question for you is just to ask where you see yourself in 3 years' time.
So in 3 years' time, I will be turning over 8 figures. I will have a CEO who is running everything for me, and I will be maybe running a different company. So I don't want to, I kind of want to remove myself from things and actually like build teams who can actually help with the growth of the business. And like, I really want to do more things. So in 3 years' time, 8 figures, an amazing, beautiful team who are helping me to run the business. And I would like to maybe like do something else. I'm not sure. I want to do something abroad. I love like hot countries. So I'm only passing by in England. I actually want to figure out, I want to spend more time abroad, and I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm going to figure something out, I'm sure.
Hey, you right, Chantel?
Hey.
I don't think the mic works. But yeah, it sounds like you've had an amazing trajectory with your business. You've achieved quite a lot, really inspiring story. Just for somebody that might want to start up in the beauty and hair care side of things, how many products were you, because I know when we had a conversation earlier, you said you manufactured all the products yourself, etc. how many products were you manufacturing each day when you first started out versus now?
I don't even know. It was a lot. We were going through so many jars. Do you know what? I don't actually know, if I'm honest. I was so much in doing the work that I was in the business. I was waking up every morning feeling like, when we got really, really crazy busy, I would wake up, I was a little bit anxious, I'm not gonna lie. It really, really grew really quickly. I'd wake up and I'd go to the space and we would just be in the kitchen making so many products. I actually don't know, but we were doing like, so the product sales for $26.95. Our busiest month, and this was like in the first year, we were doing over £20,000 a month. So whatever that math is.
And then from a manufacturing point now, I'm assuming you've got a wider team, obviously from when you first started. How many products do you manufacture now, currently, with the manufacturing team?
So we have slowed down because what happened was we weren't actually in, I didn't have enough team to support all of the orders. What happened was some orders were, I didn't like the way that the orders were going out. I didn't like the delivery company who we were using. So we kind of had to reassess everything. So we have slowed down at the moment, but we are going to be picking up at the end of this year and going back to double what we were doing in a good month. So that's, I'm not really a numbers girl. In terms of how many we were doing, I don't actually know, if I'm honest, but I know that we were doing like over £20,000 a month.
Good work.
Thank you. So there's no more questions, I think. Without further ado, thank you. Give Chantel another round of applause.
Thank you.
And now we're going to ask Akshay Thakrar to come up to the front, the BBC Apprentice star who gave as good as he got with Lord Allen. So,
how's it going?
You start.
I just want to start off by saying, Chantel, that was brilliant. So I want to give you another round of applause. My name is Akshay Thakrar. I run a digital marketing agency called Sign Network. We specialize in influencer marketing, content creation.
I don't know if he can do it. I tried it myself.
Ed, who's watching? I want to talk to you about my business journey, how I got started, the apprentice, mindset, and also the importance of going on and just keep on fighting for what you want. So to start off with, going really back, I've been raised up in a country called Malawi. Has anyone heard of it? Brilliant. You know, usually people haven't heard of it because it's one of the smallest countries out there. So I've been raised up in Malawi and lived there for 10 years, ended up coming to the UK at the age of 10, and went to school here, did my GCSEs, did my A-levels, and as a kid, I don't know what it was, but I just loved money. Right. I know I sound like an apprentice candidate right now. Actually, I am one. But growing up, I didn't get things easily. My parents weren't in the best position at the time to get me the shoes I wanted, to get me the watch I wanted. So it was either I have to work and get the items myself or don't get them at all. So as a kid, I was that kid that ended up taking sweets to school, selling hair straighteners to girls, literally. And you know, things like in my summer holidays, I would set up a market stall selling sunglasses, working 7 days a week throughout my summer holidays because I was literally obsessed with making money so I can buy the shoes I wanted, I can do the things I wanted, talking about freedom again. And it came to the time to go university. Now, I was itching to go out there and start my business, start working, and establish myself out there in the working world. but my parents wanted me to go to university. And their angle was that it's only 3 years of your life that you need to commit, where you can go out there, meet new people, expose yourself in a different environment. But I just wanted to start my own thing and go out there. But I took on the feedback and went university. I went Coventry University and found a degree called entrepreneurship. It was the only degree at the time that basically did entrepreneurship. And the difference was it was a very practical-based degree. So the sort of things we did there were, for example, they'd give you a paperclip and you have to go out there into town and make trades with people. So for example, I'll be like, hey, you've got that pen, can I have that pen? Okay, can I have that ruler now? Can I have that pencil case? And you trade yourself up. So it was a very practical, hands-on based degree. Now, while you're at university, you're a student, you need money to keep going. The student loan isn't going to help you throughout. And I've never been the type that's asked my parents for money. Firstly, because I've always believed that I should do that myself. I don't have to rely on my parents. And secondly, my parents weren't in that position to fund me at that point or sort of pay for my food and stuff like that. So I was looking for a job. And while you're trying to find a job at university, you know how hard it is. It's very saturated, all the jobs are gone. So I'm out there looking for a job, and somebody knocks on my door on my campus. And it was a guy trying to sign me up to a recruitment agency. So I said, I don't want to sign up, but I want to know, how did you get this job you're doing now as a student? And he told me it's a company, and they're paying him £1 per sign up, and he does about 150 a month, 200 a month. I said, I'd love to do it. Can you give me the contact? So he gave me the contact and got in touch with the company. I got the job. I asked the company, what's the best student? What's the best performing student that you have? And they said that the best performing student is doing about £400 a month. And I said, okay, fine. I went back home and I was trying to figure out what is a different way of getting these acquisitions. So rather than going door to door on campus, knocking on people's doors and trying to sign them up manually, how can you stand out and be different and position yourself differently? And the only way I found, I'm just gonna have some water. The way I found was to go online. There's a lot of Facebook groups out there, student freshers groups out there, and I started posting these links on these sites, literally spamming them, to the point that I had about 5 different Facebook accounts. I'd use everyone's Facebook account, my parents, my friends, and I was spamming these groups like crazy, right? End of the month, amount of sign-ups I got was 3,000. 3,000 sign-ups. To the point that the company that actually got me doing it, they were shocked. They thought I was doing something dodgy. So they're like, hang on a second, we need to investigate how you've got these 3,000 sign-ups. And they were genuine sign-ups, you know? So they checked the IP addresses, they investigated it, and everything was right. And they're like, we want you to come to London and meet us because we've outperformed our marketing manager in terms of acquisitions for the month. And what I found is that the way I was doing it, the way I was getting acquisitions, I was just leveraging networks out there where the audiences were already there. And then what I did was I started going to other recruitment agencies and saying, hey, I'm doing this for this company. Can I do the same thing for you? And that's when I realized that I need to get into marketing, that there is a lot of scope in marketing. I enjoy it. I love it. And it's something that I wanted to pursue further. So the year ended, and as you know, I did so many sign-ups, I started getting saturated. The year ended, it was the holiday season, and there's no students out there. So I thought, while I'm at home, it's best for me to get experience within a marketing company and go out there. Even if I'm not paid, it's completely fine. Go out there and learn more. So there was a startup company that was doing video advertising, and my job for them was to basically sign websites up to their platform. So for example, if anyone had a blog, I would contact them and say, hey, you've got a blog, sign up to this company, and you'll be able to monetize it with that. So he said, I'll pay you £2 per sign up to get these acquisitions. And I said, brilliant. So I did it for about 2 weeks, and it was okay. And then a friend of mine contacted me saying, hey, do you have any jobs available? Do you know anyone? I said, yeah, I actually do have a job. Let me come back to you. So then I ended up going to the CEO of that company, the owner. I'm saying, hey, I want to build a team under myself to get more signups because there's so many blogs out there, I can't do it myself. But I want you to pay me £4 per blog so I can pay the other student £2 and keep £2 for myself. And to cut a long story short, by week number 6, where I had to go back to uni, I had 9 other friends, 9 other students under me signing these blogs up. And I wasn't doing it myself. They were the ones doing it. Again, the numbers shot up. And it was time to go back to uni and went back to the CEO to say, hey, I'm going back uni, but I can still carry this on. I can get even more people for you. I can get 30, 40 people, and it can really grow your company. And it got to the point where I actually loved what I was doing, and I saw growth for myself within the company because it was a startup, they had funding, and I said, look, if I prove myself early, I can get in with this guy. I'm there all excited, being like, yes, I'm going to impress him. He's really impressed with my numbers. He fired me. He fired me. I will never forget this day in my life, one of the worst days. It was worse than my apprentice firing. He said to me, I don't need you. You've done the work for me. And you're not doing anything yourself. So why do I keep you? I said, I built this. These are my friends. And he says, no, I've got what I wanted. You can do your own thing now, basically. He said a couple of other things as well, which I'm not going to talk about because I can't. And ended up taken to an employment tribunal. Won the case, but that day I made a promise to myself on the way back on the train that I'm going to start my own agency and I'm going to beat this guy because you know, you can't let anyone talk to you like that, firstly. And just because I was a student, just because he thought that I could take advantage, I'm not going to have that. So went back to uni with this ambition of literally starting my own agency. Again, no idea how to do it. I have no idea. And started YouTubing things. Started calling up agencies, arranging calls with their sales managers, sales directors, saying, hey, I'm a brand. Can you talk to me about your company? Because I want to learn what you're doing. Finished uni, and I started my company. Called the company Sky Viral. And absolutely loved it, absolutely loved it. And what I was doing basically was selling banner ads. Who knows those banner ads? The annoying ones that no one clicks. And I was selling, I don't sell them anymore, by the way. I was selling those banner ads to brands, and it was getting busy. I was picking up. It was very hard at the start because, again, you're young. In terms of credibility, is a brand going to take you seriously? You know, knowledge-wise, I didn't even know some of the technical conversations myself. So when people are talking about tracking or pixels, I have no idea. I'm literally, at one call, I remember, I was literally YouTubing the technical terms that the client was talking about. But anyway, 6-7 months in, the business was generating money, and I hired my first employee within the company. And his name's Keith. He's still my friend till date. And he was a sales director. He was 40 years old with a lot of experience in sales. And I thought, this is brilliant. Not only that I've hired him to get me more sales, I'm actually going to learn from him because he's got way more experience than I do. Everything was going well. About 14 months in, got a big brown envelope in the post. And it was a letter from Sky. Who's head of Sky? Sky was saying to me that I've done a trademark infringement because I've called my company Sky Viral. And at that point, I didn't even know what trademark infringement was. So I went down to my local solicitor. I said, can you translate this letter for me because I don't know what you're talking about. And the lovely lady, she said, yeah, Sky PLC are suing you, by the way, for trademark infringement, and they're going to come after all your assets, and you're going to have to show them what you've done. But I said, I haven't actually infringed anything. I just called it Sky Viral. And they said, no, you're going to have to respond to it immediately, and we need to find a solution. So the biggest lesson I learned at that point was that you need to do your homework. It's okay starting a business and saying, yeah, I want to do something, but legalities-wise, you need to cover yourself at all costs so you don't get problems later on. But anyway, managed to settle with Sky, and I had to close that company down. But at that point, I realized that if I really want to make it big in this industry and really make an impact, I can't just keep going like this. I can't be YouTubing things. I can't be relying on other people to guide me, as well as it's great to have that, but I need to be good at what I'm doing. So I decided to go get a job within my industry, because that's the best place to learn from anyone if you want to learn. And this company was number 3 to Google and Yahoo at the time in terms of the scale. So it was the perfect platform for me. It was like going back to school. I actually loved it. I'd be the first one in, last one out. And any meeting, whether it's technical, whether it's sort of sales related, I'd be the one in there, absorbing things like a sponge, because I wanted to learn as much as I could that I could leverage later on. I'm not saying I was trying to take advantage of them, because I was actually working hard and hitting my targets. But whether it came to learning how to pitch to brands, how does a big company do it? It's all great me do it myself and go and pitch it, but how is a big company doing it out there? How are they communicating internally? What are the challenges of a big company that a small company like myself can find? And did that for about 2 years, and after 2 years, took the plunge to basically start my agency, which is now Sci Network. But when I started my agency at the same time, again, it was going back to the beginning, building from scratch, putting yourself out there. And when you're starting an agency, it's all about credibility. A brand doesn't want to work with you if you don't have any case studies, if you don't have any sort of experience, previous work. So at that point, it comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's sales. And it's a numbers game. It's literally a numbers game. And there's a quote that I absolutely love, and it's not how many yeses you can get in a day, it's how many no's can you get in a day. That's your challenge, because the more no's you get, you're going to find that many yeses between that. And it was literally a case of contacting as many companies as possible. It's all great contacting 10 companies and saying, hey, I didn't get a deal or I didn't get a meeting. But what if I'm contacting 1,000 companies? If 1,000 companies aren't responding to you, you need to contact 2,000 companies, because it comes down to numbers. Biggest thing that I found very useful when starting my agency and scaling it up is leveraging other people's time to grow that. And what I mean by that is I can be out there on LinkedIn by myself contacting brands, but what I did, I hired a team abroad in India. I had 6 guys on my LinkedIn building a list of companies, contacting 3 people individually at each company, trying to get a meeting. So my role at that point was just jumping on the call with the actual client. I wasn't putting myself in day-to-day tasks which were time-consuming. So the most useful thing I found there was, how can I remove myself from day-to-day tasks that don't generate income? How can I use my time more effectively and monetize it in the best way possible? Because the difference of you making 100K a year and $1 million is literally scale. It's a numbers game, especially in the industry I'm in, where it's sales and you're selling to brands. Managed to scale the brand, and it was going perfectly fine. Everything's working fine. And I said, I saw this show called The Apprentice, and I said, I can do better than that. I'm sure when you guys watch it, you probably think that as well, that, what are they doing? So I said, I'm going to apply for this. So I applied for the first year and got through the auditions, got to the stage where they do your test screen, and everything was perfect. And I thought, I've got it. This is my show to get. And one thing Chantel said as well about being connected with God and using that to your strength, so powerful, I've found, which I'll touch on a bit later. But I really believe in a Hindu god called Sai Baba. I've actually named my company on behalf of him. And I made a deal with Sai Baba. I said, if I get The Apprentice, I'm going to come to your temple, which is in India. And then I said, hang on a minute. I believe in you so much that you're going to get me this. I'm coming to India now. Flew out to India to thank him for giving me The Apprentice, but I hadn't got it as yet, right? Thank you. Did the audition, and it was the day. So what happens is when you do the audition, there's a day where you get the call. You're either in, you're a reserve, or you're not in. And typically, roughly around 70 to 100,000 people apply each year. And this is dropped down to 32 at this call stage. So my phone rang, and the producer's called Paul. And Paul said, "Akshay, you were great, but unfortunately, we're going to have to make you reserve this year." This is in 2018. I was like, okay, no problem. Perfectly fine, because it's just a chance for me to get better. I'll come back next year, you know. At times, you'll get rejected, especially when you're running your business. Especially, I'm sure people that run their business here will relate to it. Rejection is part of your day-to-day. You know, you can't let it affect you. If I sit there and be like, "Oh, I didn't get The Apprentice," or like, "Oh God, I made a deal with you, you didn't follow," it's not worth it. So then auditioned the year after, and Paul called me again. "Akshay, you're a reserve again this year. But the difference is you're a first reserve. So if anybody actually does drop out, you will be the next one in. And you still have to do your business plan. You still have to buy all your outfits and be prepared as if you're going on the show. But if you don't get the call that day, you know you're not in." So I'm literally there sitting hoping somebody gets hit by a bus. No, I'm joking. I'm hoping that I get my spot. Didn't get it. But you know what? Again, blessing in disguise, because that year I doubled my turnover. Some of the clients I got for my agency in that year, I could not have got if I did go on The Apprentice, because the schedule they were filming, it wouldn't have been possible. So again, so many blessings in disguise within the rejections. Even going back to the company, the guy that fired me for, again, blessing in disguise. If I met him today, I'd buy him a drink. I genuinely would. I'd say, "No, I'm so grateful to you because you gave me that initial drive, initial kick to start my business." But anyway, coming back to The Apprentice, third year, tried again. Guess what? I got in. But, get a call from Paul again. "We've had to cancel this year's series because of COVID." Right? So I'm like, "No problem, Paul. I'll come back next year. It's totally fine." You know what? I said, perfect, because I can get in shape. I can look good for the camera. All great. He's like, "No, actually, it doesn't work like that. It's the BBC, and you have to audition all over again for fairness." I'm like, right. So I auditioned all over again for the fourth year and got the call from Paul again. And the call started off like this: "Unfortunately," and I'm like, "Great. You're going to have to spend more time with us this summer because you've been selected," right? And I was like, and in that moment, I thought to myself, like, I could have easily given up from the first or second time, or been like, "Oh, I can't be asked to do it again," you know? But that's not the point. Whether you're running a business, whether you are, it's like something like The Apprentice, or even like going a bit deeper, if it's a relationship, it's the power of one more that I really believe in. There's absolutely no harm going one more time, giving it that one more shot, because you never know how it's going to change your whole dynamic, right? Anyway, got on the show. I'm all excited, thinking I'm going to win every single task. It's going to be the best thing ever. Completely the opposite, right? I've got the highest record for boardrooms in the history of The Apprentice, and the highest record for boardroom survivals as well. When I got to the first task, I was there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be project manager. This is going to be so easy. Let's go for it. But what I realized very, very quickly is that this is not my business. This isn't my employees. These aren't my team members. They're also contestants who are trying to shine more than each other. So teamwork becomes a big problem, because I'm trying to be better than you, and you're trying to be better than her. We can't work as a team in that way. Whereas the girls' team, why they won, why they had pretty much a all-girls final, they gelled very well together. They were in sync. Biggest lesson there, the power of teamwork and harmony within a company. If you don't have that, you're pulling yourself back. And anyway, we lost the first task, went into the boardroom, and it's very, very, very intense, like way more than the TV, than you see it. Because imagine, you're project manager at this stage, you've lost the first task, and you're going into the bottom 3. Statistically, every project manager that's lost in the first task has gone home. So I'm doing my calculations as I go in. I walk in, I see Lord Sugar, Karen, and Tim looking at me. I'm like, great, I've got a 33% chance I'm going home today. But before I went into that boardroom, one thing I said to myself was that there's absolutely no way I'm going home today. Absolutely no way. I will just not accept it. And it was a very, very intense boardroom. And it just comes back to the power of believing in yourself to the point that if you're convinced, the other person is going to be convinced. If you have a little bit of doubt within yourself, it's going to show, and it's going to impact the decision of whatever you're waiting on. Anyway, lost my second task, and I'm like, what is going on? This isn't me, because I'm used to going for it, making things work. Oh, can't be. You know what? Fine. I've lost 2 tasks. I'm going to carry on. It's going to be normal. Lost my 3rd task back in the boardroom. Lost my 4th task again. And at that point, I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't said this in an environment like this, but mentally, I wasn't in the position where I normally am. Usually, I'm the most optimistic guy, the most positive guy. I'm like, yeah, we can do anything. Yes, I was on the surface, but inside, it got harder and harder. Because you're losing your tasks, other team members who don't know you as yet, they're thinking, why is he losing tasks? We don't want to work with him. Lord Sugar's looking at you thinking, why is he losing that many tasks? But it's in that moment you have to find that strength within yourself and be like, you know what? Externally, people can think whatever they want, but inside, I believe in myself so much that I'm going to just keep going and going. And on The Apprentice, we're only allowed 1 phone call a week, and it's 5 minutes. We're not allowed a phone. We're not allowed to communicate with the world. We have no access to internet, nothing. And my 5-minute phone call that day, I remember I came out my 4th boardroom, was a fish task. Does anyone remember that? Where we forgot the crab. That was Alex, great candidate, very, very credible, but probably the toughest boardroom I had. And I came out of that boardroom and I said, this is too difficult. I can't carry on. I said, I just want 1 phone call. And that was to my mom at the time. And I called my mom. She said, how's it going? I said, you know what? I'm going to be really honest to you. I was in the boardroom for the 4th time. She goes, it's fine. If there's anyone that can do it, it's you. You know? And that's all I needed in that moment. That's all I needed from someone that you care about, from a loved one that, you know what? Keep going. You've got it. And that's when I decided, you know what, nothing is going to stop me. No matter what boardrooms come to me, no matter how many tasks I lose, I'm going to keep going for it. And then, we pretty much lost every single task after that again. But after that, the boardrooms shifted for me because my mindset shifted. I was much more positive. All I said to myself, whenever we lost, I said, you know what, I'm coming back to the boardroom. I know I am. Statistically, another candidate wants to bring me in because my score's higher, so they think it's easier. And I said to myself, every time I went back, I was like, there's no way I'm going home. You can do whatever you want. I will fight out of it. I'll scream, shout, do whatever, and I'm not going to leave. Anyway, got to week 8 and I lost my 7th task. I won 1 task, by the way. Got to my 7th task, and week 8, we lost again. And Lord Sugar was like, Akshay, what's going on? Like, seriously. And to be really honest, he goes, why are you losing so many tasks? Why are you coming back in the boardroom again and again? And you know what? I just said, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know the answer myself. I'm not going to sit and blag something and say, whatever. I'm not going to blame anyone. I don't know. But all I can tell you is that I'm not someone who's going to give up. I'm going to keep going and fighting. If I feel like it's not working for me, I'm not going to be that guy who's be like, I give up. If you want someone that keeps fighting for it and is hungry for it, I'm the guy you're looking at. And then I also added, I tell you what, Lord Sugar, this didn't make the edit, by the way. If I lose the next task, I'll fire myself. You won't have to. And I walked out of that room, and I turned around to him, and I said to him, there's one thing you should know about me, Lord Sugar, is I don't give up. And I walked out. So week 9, I lost again. You know, we lost for like 14 pounds or something like that. Can't remember the exact figure. And I said, you know what, I'm going to leave. I'm going to quit. I told the producers, I'm just giving you a heads up that I'm going to quit the show because obviously I've made a big commitment. I don't want to backtrack from it because, you know, it will look bad on TV, right? But it didn't make the edit. And at that time they said no. Lord Sugar said, I decide who goes. You don't decide. So I said, you know what, I respect you and I respect that. So I'm going to fight for it again. And I'll be really honest with you. Week 9, I got fired. But when he was firing me, there was one memory that came to me. When I was younger, back in school, there was a school trip to see Lord Sugar. And it was £20 at the time. It was in Crown Plaza Hotel. I remember very, very clearly. But I didn't tell my parents that I had this trip because £20 at that time wouldn't be a lot of money, but it would make a difference to them. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to make it. And I remember that day very, very clearly. My friends went. They were Snapchatting Lord Sugar's car, you know, Snapchatting the event. And I says, you know what, one day I'm going to meet him or going to work with him in some sort of capacity. And when he was firing me, that's all I could think about. That there was that kid who didn't have £20 to come see you at an event, and now you're firing me. How grateful am I? No, literally. And, you know, that moment, it happens very quickly when he fires you. It's like, bang, you're gone. And it's really scary when the finger comes towards you as well. But that moment was like it took a while. I played so many little scenarios in my head that if a kid that doesn't have money to come see you can come see you and be in this position, can get on a show, not giving up 4 times, what is possible if I keep going? You just have to be so firm on what you want, what you desire. You need to be so damn clear on it that I want this. And if someone says no, be like, no, until you say, yes, I am not moving, because it's possible. There's so many people out there that have achieved so much success, that have started with less resources to us, and they've made it work. What's stopping us in this room touching that? I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker because I'm not trying to be that, but I genuinely believe that if you have this deep belief inside of yourself that you can achieve something, you can do something, the universe will test you. It will throw little pricks at you, be like, you know what? No, let me see how bad you want it. And in that moment, you really have to fight for it and make it work. And I got fired and I went back home, and I promise you, I was the happiest guy. So positive, even in that taxi. You'll see me laughing if you saw the clip. And the producer was like, are you all right? Like, what's wrong? I said, no, I'm so happy because I can sit there and be like, oh, I didn't win it. Oh, this happened. But no, my life starts now again. I can use this platform to leverage my name out there. I've got an agency. How am I standing out? I've got a big USP now. I've been on a show like The Apprentice. People know of me. When I go pitch, people know of me. Like, I went to pitch for a really big brand, and the first thing he says, my kid loves your TikToks. And it was like, great icebreaker. It's a great icebreaker. So that's the best thing I got out of The Apprentice. But the other thing I want to talk about is mindset. When the show was airing, I watch it as the same time as you guys do. So I haven't seen my edit. I don't know what I'm going to be portrayed as. And week 1, I had a really cheesy tagline. Really cheesy tagline. It was something like, they call me AK-47 because I'm a killer salesman. Yeah. And I think in that moment, you don't realize the consequences of saying things like that sometimes, you know, because you want to get on the show, you're trying to stand out again from other candidates, and sometimes you're exaggerating those sort of things. We've just got announced on Twitter. I'm like, wow, my social media is kicking off. The press is calling you, and AK-47 is going viral on Twitter. It's trending. I'm like, is this a joke? Like, what have I done? And there's all sorts of comments, all sorts of trolls, right? And when you're not used to that environment, when you're not used to that sort of exposure, it's a bit daunting, right? Anyway, I was like, you know what? I need to ignore it. First episode aired. Because I lost, I was in the boardroom. I was trending #1 again in the UK. Kanye West was #2 that night. I'm not joking. And a friend of mine said to me, Akshay, you don't want to look at Twitter. What's the first thing you do if someone says that? You look at your Twitter, all sorts of things, all sorts of memes, all sorts of comments. And I was like, mentally, I can't hack this. I'm trying to run my business. I'm trying to go on meetings and pitch clients. How can I ignore this? Imagine someone saying bad things about you right now. Now imagine 20,000 people saying bad things about you in one go. It can affect you. But that's when I learned mental resilience. More than the actual show of surviving those boardrooms is you have to ignore the negativity and that hate, because you will get it in all sorts of forms. You can get it from family, who will sometimes be like, no, you can't do that, or you can't do this, or colleagues that what you're trying to do. But you have to ignore from that. And lucky for me, my narrative changed as the show progressed. I think people got to see more of myself as the edit changed. And week 9, when I got fired, the amount of love I got from people was priceless. And I was just comparing. I was like, wow, week 1 to week 9, how quickly my narrative changed, right? And the same thing can apply in life as well. Your narrative can change like this. You just need to keep at it, keep consistent, and like Chantel said, keep going. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have very common similarities, and I could relate to a lot of things you were saying about being resilient, keeping going. It's that attitude that will make your business work or whatever you're trying to achieve work. No, thank you for that. I hope you found that useful.
No, thank you for that, actually. It was,
my pleasure.
We were going to play a clip, but I think but I was thinking you explaining and going through those was a lot more rich, entertaining as well. We just want to ask if there's anybody's got any questions and answers for Akshay, any personal ones, any things that they want you wanting to expound upon. We do a few minutes of that. First lady here. Okay.
From the Apprentice and your business plan, how close are you, or have you exceeded that really?
So the best benefit I got out of the Apprentice was that exposure. Mine's a very B2B business. It's not a consumer-based business. So for example, if I was selling, I don't know, a product, my business would shoot up overnight because people see that visibility. They'd come to you, they can check out very easily. Because mine's B2B and my transaction values are higher, so the average campaign that we run, minimum that I start off with, is £10,000, going up to 50, 60. Those sort of people are not going to DM you on Instagram and be like, hey, I'd like to campaign. So where it's helped me the most is using this exposure and outreaching as many marketing directors, putting myself in rooms where influential people are, and just leveraging that the most. So in terms of my business plan, I've exceeded the figures that I had for this year so far. The amount of exposure you get is priceless, you know. But then again, it's not what I haven't got those deals because of the Apprentice. Yes, the door's been easier for me to open because of it, but you still have to deliver with your product, and you still have to convince someone to give that much money to you to run the campaign. So to answer your question, I have no regrets at all. I could have got the investment and it would have helped me a lot, but I've tried my best to really leverage the exposure I've had. I only asked one question. No, I'm joking. Go.
You know when you're on the show, and what kind of happens with your business? Do you get paid from the BBC, like an average?
We get a very small fee, very small fee. It's only like £2,000 to like cover your outfits for the show, because we have to buy that ourselves. But luckily with my business, I had someone who was overseeing it, running it. And again, I'm not allowed to be in contact with them, but I was aware of the campaigns we were running and what we were trying to achieve. So I was really grateful. By the time I came out, I had no issues. And in fact, the person that was overrunning it now, the person that was managing it for now, we're actually working even closer because of it, because I got to see that I can trust them.
Yeah.
I appreciate that The Apprentice is more of a competition, but what is the greatest lesson you learned from being in The Apprentice that could help an entrepreneur?
Resilience. 100%, because it's personally as well, I think it's so relatable to me. if I just gave up and said, oh, I can't be asked, I would have vanished from that process, because I promise you it's not easy. You're mic'd up pretty much all day. They know exactly what's happening. Tim and Karen are watching you. Even when they're not watching you, everything's being reported about you. And it's resilience and the ability to fighting for what you want. If you really believe it in yourself and you have this internal self-belief that you can achieve something, you can get it. So resilience is the answer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I came in May.
No worries. So I run a digital marketing agency. We do digital marketing agency. Yeah, we do lead generation on a performance basis. So what that means is if people are looking for leads, we can get leads for customers on a cost per lead basis. So the customer doesn't have a media cost. We observe that the cost ourselves. The client only pays on performance. So we only bill our client on the leads that they get.
Like Google?
Sorry?
Is it like Google?
Different to Google. Google is more PPC, where you click links and you build through that. We use email marketing to get our leads. So for example, we work with a lot of bloggers. And let's say, for example, there's parenting bloggers out there. We have access to their customer database. Now, let's say if a brand comes to us that wants to access that database, we can leverage that database because we've got reach to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We also do content creation as well.
So what made you get into that?
Oh, you missed the initial talk. I basically, to give you a really a snippet answer is, I worked for another company, and they got rid of me, basically saying I'm not good enough for them, and that really motivated me to start the business. And I saw it making money. What was I good at? What wasn't I good at? I thought I was really good at it.
So one thing I would say is that when you register online as a member Be Global, you'll be able to watch all this back from start to finish. So that'd be good.
I'd recommend watching it. I think it'll answer your question than me trying to answer it. And the other thing is that it works. The business works. So why not? If the business makes money and it works, why not try it? I don't need to try reinvent the whole wheel. I don't need to come up with a brand new idea. If something works, I can use that.
One simple question. Yeah. You made a deal with your God. I apologize, I can't remember the name. Right? That if you were successful, you'd go, and you went to India. Right?
Yes.
And you basically gave homage. After the Apprentice, what's the deal with that God still? Are you still in unison with them? Or the only reason I ask that is because you use a term a lot that I had to fight. Right? Yeah. Which sometimes it is, we understand that, but that's not the energy we use to succeed all the time. Right?
Absolutely.
So being they said not part of the sort of competition, whatever it is what's the underlying energy that you use in order to actually repair yourself and keep yourself going? Because it's not about fighting all the time.
It's not about fighting, but to get what you want, I genuinely believe this. Firstly, to answer the first part of the question, the relationship with God is I'm just super grateful. Every day I'm just like, I'm so thankful for what's coming. Even if things don't work out, I'm thankful for that. I say fight because you need to have, personally what I believe in business, you need to have an aggressive approach to go after what you want. I don't mean fight in a negative connotation at all. You need to be hungry for what you want. If I'm all airy-fairy and be like, yeah, I really want this, I'm going to go for it. No, I really want that thing, and I'm going to do anything in my power to really go after it. There's nothing going to come in my way. I think it's more to increase the focus, the drive, the hunger for it. But I can see why you mean that, but for me, it's not in a negative way. If I have to fight something, I'm really loving it, and I'm making it mine.
Brilliant. Yeah, so there's a few. This lady here, and then there's two, and then over to Dora.
I'd like to ask you, would you recommend going on to The Apprentice, and what would your number one tip would be?
Avoid the boardroom. 100% life-changing experience. 100%. It's very, very different to what you see on TV. The hours are very long. Sometimes we start at 4 a.m. We really do wake up at 4 a.m. We come home at 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m., and it's literally repeat. You don't eat sometimes. You do eat, but you don't have your full meal. And it's a very, very competitive environment. You're in a little bubble. You've completely been removed from the outside world. And sometimes when you see the boardrooms and you see sometimes the way people act, you think, why are they acting like that? Because they're not in normal reality. They're in a different environment. But it's genuinely been one of the best experiences of my life. Not only because the friends I made on the show, because we're all still very close, well, majority of them are very close. The exposure I've got, that's absolutely brilliant. But the best thing I learned from The Apprentice is the power of keeping going. And it's the whole, coming back to the word fight, it's fighting in that boardroom and just proving to myself that I can apply this to my life anywhere. Whenever I feel like I'm not getting something or I've been rejected in a certain way, I can overcome that because anything is possible, basically.
Brilliant, thank you. Too open, yeah.
Mine's just a couple of simple questions.
Sure,
really.
sure.
The first thing is, I know you've been on The Apprentice, so how has your business grown since that in terms of employees and, you know, how many people work for you?
In terms of growth, so we work with a lot of individual contractors, so we've increased that on our side. So the way it works is that we use contractors to get a small business and they get a commission if they bring us a deal. So that's increased definitely. But the biggest growth I've had is opening doors. That's been the easiest factor for me. More than employees or anything, I'm getting more yeses for the actual deals. And now for me, it's a case of maintaining that, using that to sort of bounce higher, building my credibility so I can use that for future deals a couple of years later. So I'm not always reliant on The Apprentice. I'm actually trying to move away from The Apprentice a little bit. Not in a bad way, but I want to be known for Akshay Thakrar, who runs a digital marketing agency. And he was someone who went on The Apprentice rather than, oh, it's Akshay from The Apprentice. If that makes sense.
And another question. So are you online based? Do you have an office base, and where are you based?
Yes, we're based in Oxford Street. We're based online. It's a B2B brand, so we run digital marketing campaigns for different brands. You can't buy the service on a website. The way it works, our sales process is we sit down with the brand, understand what sort of leads they're looking for. Then we go and see within our network, is it something that we can deliver? If you were a brand looking for, let's say, I don't know, automotive leads for a test drives, if you're a car manufacturer, I'd say, look, yes, we can get you 1,000 leads at this rate. Do you want to run a campaign with us? That's how our sales cycle works, basically. Or if it's content creation, we have content creation packages as well for brands on social media that are looking to elevate it, make more reels and things like that. And influencer marketing is very, very dependent on what type of influencers they want, what sort of budget size they have as well.
Just one final question.
Sure.
What's Lord Sugar really like?
Honestly, I have nothing bad to say about Lord Sugar. Very, very inspirational. He's to the point, direct. He'll tell you exactly how it is. And once he's done hearing, you'll be like, yeah, cool. Yeah, you speak. And I found him to be very real, genuine. And I look up to him a lot.
That's right.
I wanted to ask the same question that was asked to Chantel. Okay. Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
In 3 years' time, I want to grow my agency even further. I want to expand in other niches, selling more advertising products, and having at least 20 people within my team as a minimum. So that's where I'm seeing the growth for my company, is I want to measure it. Yes, in terms of revenue, it's very easy, but in terms of how many people that I can use to grow my team.
Brilliant.
Hi, my name's Delroy Young. I'm from Nottingham. Just picked up on something that you said that really touched me, and it made me sort of focus on you a bit more as you were speaking.
Sure.
It was the key thing was when you made the phone call and you spoke to your mum.
Yeah.
That was the key for me because,
sure,
like you said, you're only allowed one call. I've been there myself. So I run a couple of businesses and I work as well. So
sure,
I understand the situation by the means of the call you had to make. So I can see when you mentioned your mum, I just noticed a reignition again in your conversation.
Right.
Because obviously it's given you a memory thing of where you were back then as you move forward. So, you know, I take that as a maximum respect. You're making that
really
call
appreciate
to that
that.
very
Thank you for that.
important woman. So well done.
Thank you.
The lady in pink there.
Hello, Karen from Nottingham. As you said, you're from Malawi.
Yes.
Would you, in the future, think of branching out back there?
For my products?
For your products and your business?
It just depends on what the landscape is for digital advertising in Malawi. Africa is up and coming, and especially countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, where digital advertising is going up. I think with Malawi, it's still out there in terms of traditional advertising, like your typical billboards or print and things like that. It needs a lot of education for brands, and it needs a lot of reach. Yes, people have mobile phones, but there's no logistics for people to actually buy products to get delivered and things like that. It just depends on infrastructure. But I think Africa is a huge, huge market for any sort of advertising. And I think next 20, 30 years, it's only going to get bigger. You know?
Yeah, because we're diversifying some things over
Absolutely,
there
absolutely.
at this moment, and it is going to boom.
100%, 100%. And I love everything about Malawi itself, the way the lifestyle is, the way people are, and yeah, I would love to, if the opportunity arises.
Any other questions at all? If not, I was thinking if I can ask one myself.
Sure. Cost you more.
Yeah, just going to add it to the bill. Oh, fuck yeah. How do you, as a business, how do you deal with bad customers or bad suppliers, people who say they're going to do what they do but don't actually perform?
Great question. Great question. With the clients, it's all about expectations, especially in online advertising. Sometimes when you get a client, their expectations are here, but in reality, the deliverables can only be here, no matter whoever delivered it. So communication and expectations from right at the start have to be very, very clear. Like, this is what I can achieve for you. I can't overpromise. If I overpromise, number one, that client's going to be annoyed. Number two, they're not going to rebook with me. Or number three, they're going to ask for a refund, which is the last thing I want to do. In terms of suppliers, we've used suppliers in the past for other advertising services where we've sold a product to a client and we're using a supplier to deliver it. We've promised the client what the supplier has told us, but then the supplier hasn't delivered on it. You can only learn from it. You can only learn from it. I've had situations where a supplier hasn't delivered. I can kick a fuss up. I can shout at them, scream at them. It's not worth my time. I've just learned I'm never going to use them again, and I've learned my lesson. That's what I think.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. That's been, I would say, quite inspiring. Both. I
hope so.
Yeah,
I hope you guys have taken some value out of it.
Chantel and Akshay. Just want everybody just give them another round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you again. It's just been a really pleasure to have them come and grace Nottingham. It's not to say that we haven't got our homegrown artists and business entrepreneurs within the city, but it's always good to bring people from outside of the city to come and share their knowledge, their tips, their journeys with us. So I think that this is something to learn from that. If there's no other questions that people have got, for those people online, we will be finishing very shortly. Unfortunately, if you didn't come online in person, you can't get the goodies, which is some more food and cakes, etc., and drinks outside for you. But yeah, this is obviously some more refreshments for you to partake in, and also for you to network. One great thing is that obviously there's people who are inspiring, entrepreneurs here, people who are business owners. It's good just to talk. If you have business cards, if you've got email addresses, your social media, share them with each other. Obviously, take photographs, share them on social media. It all adds to your presence and what you're trying to do. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you to Akshay again. Another round of applause. To Chantel from Birmingham again. And obviously, it wouldn't do good for me if I didn't mention some of our partners. Obviously, there's a UK government, whatever people think of them, but obviously they did actually fund this program under the UK Community Renewal Fund. So obviously, we have to, give them a nod. Obviously, the Chamber of Commerce, who obviously designed this East Midlands Accelerator program. Obviously, Nottingham City Council, obviously, they were part of it. They're managing the fund just as well as, Nottinghamshire County Council. And then the district councils, which are Newark and Sherwood, Bassetlaw, and Mansfield District Council, obviously still giving businesses in those areas opportunities to grow and leverage their businesses. It seems like we've got another late comer again with another question. Delry? Okay.
Just an acknowledgement.
Sorry, let me give you the microphone.
No. It's not a question, just an acknowledgement. I think it's difficult for Leslie to say it, but can we give a big hand and thank you to Leslie for tonight?
They was always good at catching me off guard. So, thank you for that. But no, once again, thank you for turning up, taking out your time. Again, for those people who didn't get to see all of our presentation, just register online and then you'll be able to see played back shortly. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.